My fiancé proposed in front of my dead mother, who I thought had abandoned me 20 years ago. I have never liked being looked at. Not the casual kind of attention, not the everyone sing happy birthday kind, and definitely not the spectacle kind with cameras and strangers clapping. I have told Evan this more times than I can count. He used to laugh it off and say it was cute that I was shy, then wrap his arms around me and promise he would never put me on the spot. So when he suggested a fancy night out at this popular restaurant downtown, the kind that lives on social media with glossy photos and influencer reviews, my stomach folded in on itself. He was so insistent. Said we deserved it, that he had booked the reservation weeks in advance, that I should wear something nice. When I reminded him that crowded places make me feel like I am suffocating, he kissed my forehead and told me I worry too much. From the second we walked in, everything felt wrong. The place was loud. Not just noisy, but swollen with sound. Clinking silverware, overlapping conversations, forced laughter bouncing off the walls. The lighting was dim but theatrical. Spotlights over each table like little stages. Hostesses in perfect makeup smiled too wide and called everyone lovely. Evan checked in at the host stand, then immediately pulled out his phone. His thumbs started moving fast, his eyes flickering around the room like he was searching for someone. I asked if everything was okay. He said, of course, just confirming something with the reservations, then slid his phone back into his pocket. It buzzed again almost instantly, but this time he ignored it and pasted on a smile as we were led to our table. We sat near the middle of the dining room, completely exposed. No wall to lean against, no corner to disappear into. I could feel people at other tables in my peripheral vision, their faces, their cameras, their attention. The napkin in my lap felt too stiff, my dress too tight, my own skin too small. That was when I noticed the woman in the corner. She was at a small table near a back wall, half shadowed but still visible. Dark hair pulled back, sunglasses on indoors, shoulders slightly hunched like she wanted to fold herself inward. Something about the way she held herself tugged at something deep and uncomfortable in my memory. I tried not to stare. I focused on the menu, on the way Evan kept reaching for his water glass and setting it down again without drinking, on his foot tapping under the table. But my eyes kept drifting back to her. She was not eating. She had a drink in front of her that had completely melted, untouched. Her head would turn every time someone walked by, hopeful for half a second, then disappointed. And every time her gaze swept past our table, I could feel it like a physical touch. Familiar, wrong, unwelcome, and yet strangely comforting, like a song you have not heard since childhood playing from another room. Halfway through the meal, the shift happened. The lights dimmed further, like someone turned down the world. The background music faded out and then switched to something softer, more sentimental. Staff started emerging from the kitchen holding sparklers and clapping. My heart stopped. My hands went slick around my fork. Evan stood up. He walked around to my side of the table and I could feel every set of eyes in the room turning toward us. Phones came out. Someone actually whistled. My fight or flight response flared so sharply that for a second I thought I might just get up and leave, walk straight out the door and never look back. Instead, I sat there, frozen, as he dropped to one knee. He started talking. Something about loving me from the moment we met. About me being his best friend, his future, his everything. The words washed over me in a blur, muffled by the roaring in my ears, because I had looked up, and I had locked eyes with the woman in the corner. She had taken her sunglasses off. Her face was bare, utterly naked with emotion. She was staring at me, not at Evan, not at the ring, at me. Tears were streaming down her cheeks, shining in the dim light. Her hand was over her mouth like she was trying to physically hold herself together. And that was when the déjà vu punched me in the chest. The curve of her jaw, the arch of her brows, the way her mouth trembled when she tried not to cry. It was like looking at an old photograph that someone had scratched and aged and then handed back to you with shaking hands. Evan's voice broke through my trance. He was asking the question. The question I should have been waiting for. The one people dream about. I said yes. I said it because the room was holding its breath, because phones were pointed at me, because my own body felt trapped inside a stranger's life, and the only way out was forward. The room erupted. People clapped, some shouted congratulations. A staff member cheered. Evan slid the ring onto my finger, his hands shaking, his eyes wet, and pulled me into a hug. I felt his arms around me, but it was like being hugged through glass. Over his shoulder, I saw her. The woman in the corner had both hands pressed to her mouth now. Her shoulders were shaking. Her eyes were locked on me with a look I could not name. Something between reverence and agony. It felt like she was watching a miracle, or a crime. After the noise settled, Evan announced he wanted photos with some friends who helped set this up. He was so excited, so invested in this narrative he had written, that I let him take my hand and lead me away from our table. My legs felt hollow. Every step toward the back of the restaurant felt like walking deeper into something I had no name for. The air seemed thicker. My hearing went tinny, like I was underwater. I already knew where we were going before he turned. My body knew before my mind allowed itself to catch up. He led us straight to the corner table. Up close, the woman was smaller than she seemed from a distance. Fragile, almost. Her hands were clenched around her napkins so tightly her knuckles were white. Up close, I could see the faint scar above her right eyebrow. A thin, pale line in the exact spot where, at 5 years old, I had pressed a cartoon bandage to my mother's face after she slipped on wet tiles in the kitchen. My vision tunneled. The restaurant blurred around the edges. All I could see was that scar, that face, those eyes brimming with recognition and regret. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, loud as the applause had been. She took off her sunglasses completely and set them on the table with trembling fingers. Her eyes met mine. For a second, her lips parted and no sound came out, like she had forgotten how to speak. Then she whispered my childhood nickname, the one nobody uses, the one I have not heard out loud in 20 years. "Congratulations, sweetheart," she said, her voice barely holding together. I am so proud of you." The room disappeared. My mother died when I was 7. There was a car accident. There was a closed casket. There were relatives sobbing, casseroles, hushed conversations about what would happen to me now. I remember holding my father's hand so tightly that my nails left half-moon marks in his skin. I remember being told she was gone, that she had not chosen to leave, that it was a tragedy, an act of fate. I remember standing in front of that casket and feeling like the world had hollowed out. Now, 20 years later, the dead woman in my memories was standing in front of me, alive and crying and calling me by a name that should have been buried with her. I heard my own voice before I realized I was speaking. "Who are you?" I asked, even though every cell in my body already knew. Her eyes filled with fresh tears as she looked at me like I was both a miracle and a punishment. "I am your mother," she said, her voice breaking. "I never abandoned you. They lied." The world tilted and my body moved before my mind caught up. I turned away from her, from that face and that scar and those eyes, and pushed past a server carrying a tray of champagne. Evan said my name behind me, sharp and startled, but I was already heading for the exit, the ring on my finger suddenly feeling like a shackle. Outside, the night air hit me like a slap. It should have been a relief after the hot, crowded restaurant, but my lungs could not seem to find enough oxygen. My hands were shaking so badly I could not get a full breath in. Evan caught up to me on the sidewalk, fingers wrapping gently around my arm. "Lena, please, just wait," he said, breathless. "Please let her explain. I did this for you." I pulled my arm back like his touch burned. "You did this for me? You thought ambushing me with a stranger claiming to be my dead mother, in public, in the middle of a proposal, was for me?" His face crumpled. "She is not a stranger." I laughed then, a harsh, flat sound that did not feel like it belonged to me. "What is this, Evan? Some kind of sick performance? Did you hire an actress? Is this all some strange, elaborate trauma joke?" He opened his mouth to answer, but his eyes flicked over my shoulder. I did not have to turn to know she was there. The soft sound of heels on pavement. The quiet hitch of someone trying not to sob. The presence of a person hovering just out of reach. I turned anyway. She stood a few feet away, her hands clasped in front of her like she was standing at an altar. Up close in the streetlight, she looked even more fragile. Lines etched around her mouth and eyes, hair threaded with gray, shoulders trembling. She stayed where she was, giving me a ridiculous amount of space for someone who had just claimed my entire life was a lie. "I will not come closer if you do not want me to," she said, voice low and unsteady. I did not want you to think I would let you walk away without trying to explain." "Explain what?" I snapped. "Explain how you rose from the dead? Or how you abandoned me and then decided to show up at my engagement dinner like a ghost with good timing?" Her eyes flinched at the word abandoned, but she did not argue. Evan ran a hand through his hair, pacing a small, desperate circle. "Lena, she is not lying. I have known about her for months. She reached out to me first." The ground dipped under my feet. "You what?" My voice came out small, shrill. "You have known. For months, and you did not think to tell me you were talking to a woman who claims to be my dead mother?" He winced. "I wanted to find out if it was real before I put you through this. I thought it would be better if she could tell you everything herself." So now there were two of them. Two people keeping secrets and deciding what I could handle behind my back. My fiancé. And the woman who would not stop crying. I let him guide me to the car because my legs felt like they might give out. We sat in the front seats, doors shut, engine off. The restaurant noise was a muffled roar outside, the windows fogging slightly with our breath. Marina sat in the back, hands folded on her lap like a passenger in a borrowed life. She called herself Marina now. Hearing her say it felt wrong, like trying on a name that did not fit. In my memories, she is just Mom, a warm smell of detergent and cigarettes on her sweater, a laugh that filled small spaces. "I know how this sounds," she began, voice thin. "But your father, he was not the man you think he was." My spine went rigid. "Do not talk about him like that." She swallowed. "He was controlling long before you were old enough to see it. He watched everything I did. Checked phone records, read my messages, told me which friends I could keep. When you were little, I thought I could endure it for you. Then he started turning that attention on you too." Memories stirred. The way my father used to ask me every day after school who I talked to. The way he looked through the peephole before unlocking the door, even when it was just the neighbor boy selling cookies. "I tried to leave," Marina said. "I tried to take you and go when you were 5. I had money saved, a small apartment lined up. I thought we could disappear quietly. He found out." Her eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. They were the same color as mine, the same shape. "He told me if I took you, he would make sure you never found me, that he would make the world think I was dangerous, unfit, that he would take you away and I would never see you again." I shook my head. "That still does not explain the car accident. I was there, I remember. They said you swerved on the highway, that you—" The words caught in my throat. "They said it was quick." She closed her eyes, breathing carefully. "He staged it, Lena. He paid people, a coroner, a funeral home. It was not a closed casket because my body was mangled. It was closed because there was no body. He told everyone what he needed them to believe." I could see the funeral in my mind, the polished wood, the 2 heavy flowers, my father's hand clamped over mine. I remembered crying because everyone else was crying, but not being allowed near the casket. I remembered asking to say goodbye, and my father bending down, his face blotched and red, saying some things are too painful to see, that I needed to listen to him and be brave. "I did not disappear because I wanted to," Marina said. "He made it clear. If I tried to take you again, he would hurt you. So I stayed away. I changed my name, I moved, I learned to live like a shadow, but I never stopped watching. Not really. My chest hurt. If you were watching, where were you? No letters? No calls? No birthday postcards tucked into library books? Nothing for 20 years. She hesitated. The silence stretched, taut and fragile. I tried, she whispered. I sent birthday cards, little ones without return addresses, every year. They came back. I tried calling, but the numbers kept changing. I found your social media once when you were a teenager. 2 days later, I was blocked. I thought it was you. Later, I realized it was him. He was still watching, too. I wanted to deny it, to say my father would never do that. But a cold thread of memory curled around my thoughts. My laptop being checked when I was 16 because there are bad people online. My account suddenly logged out, my password reset. The way he always seemed to know things I had never told him. How do I know any of this is real? I asked. You could have looked me up. You could have found photos, details, anything. You could have fed all of that to Evan. She smiled sadly, and for a moment I could see the younger woman from my childhood, the one who danced in the kitchen with no music. During storms, she said softly, when the thunder scared you, we used to sit in the closet together. You would hold one of my old scarves and we would play a game. We would pretend the hangers were a forest and the shoes were animals. You always made the left corner the safe house, with the red sneakers as guards. And before we came out again, we would whisper our little promise. The air left my lungs. Nobody knows about the closet, I said. My voice shook. I never told anyone that. Her eyes glistened. The promise was that no matter how loud it got out there, we were together. Do you remember what you called the safe house? I swallowed hard. The word rose on its own, from some hidden place I had buried with my childhood. Buttonwood, I whispered. Because of the buttons on your coat. She nodded, tears spilling. You called thunder trains in the sky, and you said if the trains got too loud, we would hide in Buttonwood together until they passed. You used to make me say it with you. Evan's hand was on the console between us, unmoving. His voice was quiet. She showed me pictures, Lena. Old ones. You as a baby, as a toddler. Photos I have never seen in your father's house. She knew things about your childhood that I could not verify anywhere else. I tried to catch her in a lie. I could not. Marina took a breath, steadier now. Your father told people I left you, that I chose someone else over my family. But that was not enough for him. He wanted you to believe I was gone for good, that I was dangerous, that you were better off without me ever breathing the same air again. My phone buzzed in my hand. I looked down, grateful for the distraction, and saw my father's name on the screen. He almost never texted first. His messages were usually short responses to mine, thumbs-up reactions, occasional weather updates. Now, a new message sat there, glowing in the dark car. We need to talk. Now. Stay away from that woman. She's not who she says she is. A second message appeared beneath it, only seconds later. My blood ran cold as I read it. If you choose her, don't come back. I did not answer my father right away. The two messages sat on my screen like small, glowing ultimatums. In the rearview mirror, Marina watched me with red-rimmed eyes. Evan's hand hovered near mine, not quite touching, like he was afraid contact might make everything shatter faster. I told them I needed to think, that I needed to hear it from him, alone. Evan offered to come with me. Marina did too, in a quiet voice that made something twist in my chest. I said no to both. If I was going to let anyone rewrite my childhood, I wanted to hear each story in its purest form, without witnesses. My father answered the door quicker than I had ever seen him move. For a moment, he just stared at me, his hand braced on the frame. He looked smaller somehow, shoulders hunched in on themselves. Not angry, shaken. Like a man who had been expecting a storm for years and had finally heard the first crack of thunder. Thank you for coming, he said, stepping aside. His voice was hoarse. The house smelled the same. Coffee, dust, the faint bite of cleaning solution he liked to use on weekends. The same family photos lined the hallway walls. School pictures of me, a framed print of a beach he had never taken me to, the photo of us at my college graduation. One frame was missing. There was a pale rectangle on the wall where my parents' wedding photo used to hang. I had always hated that picture. The way my mother's smile looked a little too wide, my father's fingers pressing into her waist. Now there was only a blank space and a faint outline where the sun had faded the paint around it. Sit, he said, gesturing to the couch. I sat. He stayed standing for a moment, then lowered himself into the armchair opposite me, exhaling slowly like it hurt. I know she found you, he said. I knew it was only a matter of time. I swallowed. She says you lied about everything. He stared at the floor for a long time. When he finally looked up, his eyes were wet. I lied, he said. But not about everything. And not for the reason she told you. He did not say Marina's name. He called her she the way you might refer to a storm or a disease. He said she had always been drawn to dangerous people, that when they were younger she liked quick thrills, risky crowds, cash that did not come from paychecks. He said he thought she had grown out of it when I was born. Then, when I was 5, he discovered she was involved with some of those people again. Very bad people, he kept saying, like the words themselves were poisonous. There was money, promises, plans to leave. She wanted to take you, he said. Not to protect you, to run with you, to use you. Those people, they used children as leverage. Insurance policies. I could not let that happen to you. In his version, the night she tried to leave was a rescue mission. He said he confronted her, that she laughed in his face, that she told him I would be better off anywhere but with him. He painted her as unhinged, reckless, a threat. You were a child, he said. How do you explain to a child that their mother is willing to trade them for safety? For money? You had a funeral because I needed you to believe she was gone. It was the only way you would be safe. I chose your safety over the truth. The words slid over me like oil. Safe. 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 Marina had said the same word, but from the other side. In her story, he was the monster I needed protection from. In his story, she was. Both of them required me to be frightened and compliant. Both of them required me to accept that someone else had the right to decide what reality I could handle. I looked around the house as he talked. The lock he installed on my bedroom window when I was 10 after I mentioned a friend had snuck out at night. The motion sensor in the hallway, angled not at the doors or windows, but toward the corridor that led only to my room. The way he emphasized I kept you safe instead of I loved you. I asked him why he never went to the police. Why he did not get help from anyone who had not shared a bed with her. Police cannot protect you from everything, he said, his jaw tightening. Therapists do not stop bullets. I did what needed to be done. You were fed, clothed, educated. You had a good life, better than anything she would have given you. You faked a death, I said, my voice shaking. You orchestrated a funeral. You let me stand in front of a box and mourn a person who was not inside it. You lied to me through my entire childhood. You do not get to call that a good life just because there was food on the table. His face changed. The scared man vanished, replaced by the version of him I knew from adolescence, the one who did not like being challenged. You are being ungrateful, he said quietly. You have let a stranger walk into your engagement and poison you against the only parent who actually stayed. She knew things, I said, about my childhood, about the games we played, the words we used. She showed Evan pictures I have never seen. Why would she have those if she was just some stranger, some dangerous woman you decided to protect me from by burying her alive on paper? He stared at me, breathing hard. Finally, he said, she has been circling for months. I knew she was here before you did. My skin went cold. How? I borrowed your laptop one day, he said, as if that were the most natural thing. You left it unlocked. I saw the messages she sent to that boy, Evan. She used a different name, but I recognized the pattern, the way she writes. I recognized her. He rubbed his forehead like he had a headache. I thought about making her disappear again. I did, but I did not want to go that far unless I had to. The room went very quiet. He said it like he was talking about moving houses or changing jobs, not erasing a person, not rewriting a life. In that moment, it hardly mattered whether Marina had run with criminals or been chased by one, whether she had tried to take me as leverage or as a daughter. My father had just calmly admitted that he considered getting rid of her a second time because her existence threatened the story he built. Whatever else he had done, I believed that. I left without hugging him. He called my name as I put my hand on the door, his voice frayed, but I did not turn back. Outside, the air felt too thin. When I walked into the apartment, they were waiting. Evan was on the couch, elbows on his knees, hands laced together so tightly his knuckles were pale. Marina sat at the far end, back straight, clutching a worn cardboard box in her lap. Both of them looked up when I came in. Both of them searched my face like there might be an answer written there. I looked at the engagement ring on my finger. It glittered under the dull hallway light, pretty and cold. The memory of the restaurant felt distant and distorted now, like a scene from someone else's life. The wedding is postponed, I said. Evan inhaled sharply, but he did not argue. He just nodded once, eyes dark. I am taking a DNA test with her, I added, tilting my head toward Marina. Her fingers tightened on the box, but she did not speak. And I am going low contact with my father. I will talk to him when I choose, not when he orders. He can have his version of the story. I will not live inside it anymore. The silence that followed was not comfortable, but it was honest. Later, when the apartment was quiet and both of them had retreated to the guest room and the couch, I sat at the kitchen table with the box Marina had brought. She had said she kept it for me. Proof, she called it. Inside were photographs, yellowed at the edges, of a young woman who looked like me holding a baby who was definitely me. Hospital bracelets with my name and a surname that matched hers. A crumpled drawing I vaguely remembered, all crooked hearts and stick figures. And at the bottom, wrapped in an old t-shirt, the small stuffed rabbit I thought I lost the week of the car accident. I turned it over in my hands. One ear was still slightly torn where I had chewed on it during storms. The smell was faint, but familiar. On my laptop, a blank document waited. I started typing because I did not know what else to do. My fiancé says I should give my mother a chance. My father says if I do, I am dead to him. I am starting to wonder which one of them buried her the first time.